Hello everyone, part two. This time it's going to be a combination of Arcanoir and God of War. If you haven't seen the first video, go watch it, I guess, if you want to. I don't fucking care. Goodbye, Total Card, this time. No 15-minute long intro this time. It seems like analytics show that most people tend to only watch a video for about the first 3 minutes or something like that. I don't know why. You people are weird. Kids today are weird. They just have no attention span, I guess. But anyways, getting right into it. First thing I do is try to combine their various forms, and to that end, I had to figure out what the hell do her legs actually look like. One of the problems I kind of end up having later on, and it, the end result of this, I've already seen it, obviously, this is all post, but the end result ends up looking a little bit too much like her in a lot of ways. I'll say her, but technically there can be male God of Wars, I guess. But I think a lot of the reason for that is because in fan art, we are so used to seeing God of War drawn with legs. Even though in most canon material, she's shown like she is in that concept art that I'm going over, where she's very floaty and almost kind of ghost-like. And she's basically just a flying bedsheet. So, in theory, adding legs to her should be a really big change, but since we see that all the time anyways, for various reasons, then it's kind of not quite as surprising as it should be. And this is not the final first draft of this. The not the final draft of it that I end up going back over later. So I just had to pull up some canon actual depictions, and material from the anime was as close as I could really get. It seems like in some of the games you can, like the X and Y anyways, this is the only 3D one, you can sort of rotate her around and kind of look at her that way, or him, whatever, then you can kind of get a look at it, but they're kind of just little bitty nubs, which is really strange. So I decided with combining the two of them with her little bitty weird nubs and Arcanine's legs to kind of give her what you see here and give her little bitty feetsies. So very early on, I thought that the final result, because of Arcanine's coloration, and because I was using her as a base because I wanted a bipedal base this time, I explained that in the first video, then I kind of had the fear that she would end up looking almost exactly like Broxton. Which, if you think about it, would be pretty, it would definitely make sense. Because the color is already sort of there, the shape is already there, and the way that I'm drawing the legs and combining those elements, it kind of ends up making it look like a Broxton as well. So whenever I was doing this, I kind of also stopped and tried my best to not do that. Which I ended up with something that didn't really look like a Broxton or Braxton, or I don't know how you people say it. Every single time that I say something like that, you guys freak out because it's not your preferred thing. Reminds me of Final Fantasy VII, how for the longest time it was either Tifa or Tifa or Yuffie or Yuffie. Don't even get me started on Eris and Aerith. Aerith. What a beautiful name, Aerith. It's what they intended. Shut up. Fucking shit. Anyways, just to say all that, just to get it out of the way, I guess I'll talk about the actual final result of this much later on. But I I do have a lead in having a lot of things to complain about in regards to Pokemon. I'll probably go more. I'll try to scatter that across all the videos for the sake of it. I've already talked about how I spent a lot of time over the past 3 years. Like, I have not saved my game in 3 years, but I play X and Y ever so often, and I loaded up to see if I can get a female Eevee for reasons that I explained in the first video, and how I've never managed to get one. A female Eevee with 4 IVs. Supposedly in Sun and Moon they're going to be getting rid of IVs. People said that, but that it's not actually true after I researched it. They're not getting rid of them. What they seem to be doing is having some sort of resource-managed way of training up your Pokemon once they hit level 100. So if you have something that has, in theory, we don't even know if it's IVs yet or not, as of recording this video. But supposedly you collect bottle caps in the world. Bottle caps? Whatever. It's Pokemon. And then you give them to some NPC at the end of the game. and that will enable him to train up your Pokemon's IVs somehow. I don't know. But the way that it was kind of worded made me think, if they do that, I could easily see them making it so that you can only... This is one of the things I hate about how video game creators handle things like this. But they may make it a resource-driven thing, so that there's only like 5 bottle caps in the whole world. And doing this just one time for one IV cost 1 bottle cap, or something like that. So you can only actually upgrade someone, like your favorite Pokemon, and then that's it. Like, you can make one Pokemon have max IVs, and then that's it, or something like that. I could easily see Game Freak doing that. Because one of the problems with a lot of video games, this goes for like MMOs, probably the most infamous example, because they're grind-based for economic reasons, is they'll have some sort of idiotic system that's introduced in the first game, or, in the base game, and for every subsequent game, they refuse to just get rid of it, even though everyone hates doing it. And I can't really give too many specific examples without getting driven into the minutiae of debate. But the idea is that you will have some game that, say, has like an IV system. Like, Pokemon's a great example of this, where you have a IV system or EV system, and it's just incredibly obnoxious to try to train those things up. And they keep adding ways of trying to get around it. Like, you can... like, they added a special system like the Pokemon Ami system, or whatever it's called, Ami, or whatever, where you can play, quote-unquote, with your Pokemon, and that will enhance their EVs in various ways, or enhance their preferred... I forget how it even works. It's such a pain in the ass. But it was even worse in prior things. Rather than just getting rid of the fucking thing, they keep trying to add band-aids over on top of it. And one of the problems with this is that older players, it doesn't matter what kind of game series it is, older players that actually had to deal with it during the first few games, where whatever obnoxious mechanic it was, whenever that existed, they dealt with it, and some of them actually managed to create a, perfect IV Pokemon or whatever it was. So to them, that's a very special experience, and it's a very special result that they got. And especially if you can carry it over into subsequent games, if the developers say something like, okay, we're just getting rid of this system, because no one liked it, it served no real practical purpose, it was just there to create the illusion of progress in a game that otherwise would have nothing to do, and now we have rectified that issue so we no longer need the system, there will still be people that just raise hell, just throw a fit, because to them, getting rid of the system is tantamount to nullifying their experience in those prior games. That because they did something, MMOs, like I said, have this problem a lot, where over time they will say, okay, you remember this thing that took you 1,000,000 years to grind out? It just took forever. And after we got, like, 5 years into the game, we decided it would be much easier if we just added, like, a token system to let new players obtain these things, because now all the players that have existed since launch have this stupid thing already. It doesn't matter. And we've already added like 1,000,000 other things that are just as bad. So a new player is going to see, oh, I need to collect 8 things and all of them take a year to obtain. And they're not going to do it, obviously, because it's fucking stupid. This is there for people to grind out because they need something to do. But if you add in this token system, there will always be a very loud, vocal group on the internet that will bitch and moan and throw a fit and shit their hands and eat their own shit. Because you're ruining their prior experience. Because they grinded something out whenever you made it clear that you needed to grind them out. And, they don't want anyone else to circumvent the things that they went through because they feel special. And that's the logic of it. So things are never allowed to improve in series like this, because there's always going to be those very vocal fans that because they had to do something, they want to make sure that everyone else suffers along with them. Because they've already done it. They're already through it. They might not even play the game series anymore. But just knowing that people now don't have to do that shit anymore, for some reason, deeply offends them. And they want to make sure that the series stays exactly as obnoxious as it was whenever they had to deal with it. That always happens in series like this. At any time that there's any desire to rectify any problems in a game series that has some very obvious problems, people always do that 100% of the time. There's always that very vocal group that wants to make sure that everyone eats shit because they sat there and willfully ate shit for no reason. Like someone said a plate of shit in front of them, and they said, okay, I'll eat it, even though they made it clear, the restaurant owner, there's no reward for this. We accidentally serve you a plate of shit. I mean, we didn't accidentally do it. We made it because we know that you're going to eat it because you're a fucking idiot. Like, oh, I don't mind. Shit, I love shit. It's from your own ass, sir. Oh, it's extra good. And so they do this, and then later on, more patrons show up, and they see, you serving shit? And they turn out to walk out the door, and the patrons are like, no. We actually serve real food. This isn't shit. It's actually, they scrape it off when they're not looking and put on like spaghetti. It's actually spaghetti. And like, okay, why not? But the guy that's over there eating shit in the corner, no, I had to eat shit. And everyone else is like, you didn't have to eat anything. You're just an idiot. Oh, no, you eat shit though. No. That's what it is. That's what the shit is. Every single fucking game that's like that. It always ends up that way. Why did I even start talking about it? Oh, because of like IV and EV training. So yeah, that's a big problem in Pokemon. Because Pokemon is not a well-designed game. It just isn't. There's a lot of problems with it competitively, because its origin is just, here's a bunch of collectible merchandise animals. Go find all of them. And then that's it. With the idea being, no one will actually go out and find all 250 or whatever these things. They're not going to just do that. But it is a collect them all. That's hence the tagline, gotta catch them all, right? So that whenever people caught them all, what do you do from there? Here's more of them, I guess. Go collect these too, you fucking losers that have no life. And so after people kept collecting these things, they realized, well, how do we give them something to do? I know. We will make it so that you can actually control their stat lines. So that, sure, you can catch one of these things easily, but it won't be a good one. And because it won't be a good one, that will give them something to do, because they'll need to be able to collect perfect versions of all of them. But we won't make it easy. We'll make it random. And so people started doing this, but eventually they got to the point where, people complained, there's no way to even do this. Why would we even bother with this system whenever it's clear that it is 100% impossible to deal with it? So people started cheating. They found out ways of getting around the system by using external devices or using exploits, and they realized maybe we shouldn't be this hardcore about it. Let's pull this back some and at least give them the illusion of control, so that they're forced to keep playing, but there's a way in-game of actually controlling the variable. That way, it discourages them from cheating outright, because we're basically forcing them to do that now. And so that's how we got where we are today. Where IV training is there, unnecessarily, really, and it's still obnoxious. It's not really fun, exactly, but you can get around it, but it's still bad enough that some people still cheat, but not many. Even though, you can go online to like a subreddit that exclusively hands out perfect 6IV dittos, for example. And that's a lot of people's way of dealing with breeding. Like, breeding is obnoxious for reasons that I explained in my first video. And that's how people deal with it. They cheat in the most, not underhanded, but overhanded, whatever, way possible, so that they get the cheat, but they're not actually cheating. They're just getting a 6IV ditto that they just mysteriously got from somewhere. Where did it come from? How'd they get it? I don't know. They must have just accidentally found it. Yeah, it's not like they intentionally created it using an external program or anything. No. No one would ever do something like that. No. So, that's the Pokemon series. None of the fucking things are balanced. Like, if you look at the competitive scene, I won't even get into Smogon or whatever it's called anymore. Like, nothing's balanced. Infamously, Mega Evolutions kind of ruined why. Like, it seems like everyone just uses Genghis Khan's Mega Evolution. Like, it's just a fucking mess. The combat system is shit. You get into this, like, there's, I don't, I can't really get into the specifics of how you fight competitively, but there's like things called sweepers, for example, that it's your first one, it's your first Pokemon that comes out, and its job is to win every fight with a one-hit kill. Like, that's how you play the game. You have one that just exists to kill things in one hit, and just keep doing that until it eventually dies or loses out on a turn, or is forced out of that role by an opponent's ability or something. And that's what the combat competitively revolves around. It's things like that, where the game is so broken that you're not actually having a back and forth. Like, you're not, I'll do this move and then you'll do this move. It's not the fucking anime. You just bring something out and just like, and the fucker goes down in one hit. And everyone knows, well, yeah, of course I do. This is Pokemon. This is how it works. And that's fucking stupid. Who would ever accept that? Other than people that are just like, well, I've always played Pokemon. That's the way it's always been. It's fucking stupid as shit. But there's many things to be said about Pokemon and how you could fix it and everything. But a lot of it would involve things that people, for the guy that's eating shit off his plate, that guy, they would never, ever get away with changing it, because there are too many people like that. But the way that it should have worked, I will tell you how it should have worked. Rather than having, I don't know about the technology at the time, so it's possible it's something that they couldn't have done, but even sprite-based, I think that it's possible. Because I know that you can generate things on top of sprites and whatnot. But instead of just endlessly making more and more and more and more Pokemon, one after the other, because, well, they gotta keep collecting them. Instead of doing that, they should have made it so that each Pokemon does not have its own distinct look, like a fucking Pikachu or something always looks exactly the same. Even in the anime, they have to give one like a little hat or a bow or some stupid bullshit like that. Like, this is my Pikachu. His name's also Pikachu sometimes, but sometimes he's named like Bob. Fuck that. It's stupid. But make it so that instead of expanding out the number of species, you just flesh them out. Like, have different Pokemon breeds that are the same thing. Like an Arcanine could, for example, since I'm working with this, it looks like a dog already. You can have different kinds of dogs, right? You can have many different kinds of dogs, but they're still dogs. So you can have an Arcanine that instead of being orange like that, maybe it's purple. Maybe it's like a deep red. Maybe instead of having these weird tiger stripes on its body, it has spots. Maybe instead of having any pattern at all, maybe it's completely blank. There's all sorts of variations that you can give to these things, and that's where the breeding system could also come in, where you can end up making your own variations that do not exist yet, because while they are in the game files, they don't come pre-shipped. So someone that's actually a quote-unquote professional Pokemon breeder could custom make something that looks a specific way by very carefully breeding generations so that you end up with the pattern of a completely unrelated species that is placed onto another species. Things like that. Like, that would be one way of handling it. And, like the stat things. The stat things are just a nightmare. I'd prefer if there were no... Like, the way that they're going to handle it in Sun and Moon is more or less okay, as long as it doesn't turn into this mess of, I need to cheat in more bottle caps because it's a limited resource. Or there are unlimited bottle caps, but in order to obtain just one of them, you need to complete this quest that takes like 15 hours or something like that. This stupid bullshit like that. It's outlandish. There's no reason for it. It should just work so that once you get to level 100, if you keep leveling them up over and over and over again, like it stays at 100, but you just keep leveling up, then instead of gaining, generic levels, they start gaining IVs. So you could even make it so that, every 5 levels grants you an IV or something. It doesn't matter to me. Just As long as it's something that you can just keep doing, and eventually you will max anything out. And it does not matter. Now, like, things like shinies are like the best example of this kind of bullshit throughout the whole series. Where it's the same fucking thing, but it's just slightly different. Like, whenever I first started playing Y, I looked at, like, the stats. I noticed that I got, like, I decided that I wanted a Fennekin. Because, Brox and I really like the character design. And I decided I wanted one of those. And so I played it, and then I got a male one. And I played, like, several hours of the game, I think, before realizing, actually, I can't breed these. Like, I can't find them out in the world, so I need a female version of this to be able to get more of them. Right? I mean, that makes sense. Maybe I was also doing it for other reasons. But I was actually doing it because I needed a way to actually make more of the damn things. So I decided, you know what, I'll just reset and get a female. I'm not too far in. I'll just do that. And so I did, and I was, another male. I reset again, another male. So I got suspicious and went online and looked, and it turns out it's another one of those 12.5% bullshit things. Where, sure, you can get a female Fennekin, but the rate of them you actually getting one is 12.5%. It's ridiculous. So I just had to keep resetting over and over again. Like playing through the whole intro sequence. Over and over again until I got a female one. Which took, I think, like, something like 3 hours or something. I was doing something else. I think I was watching a movie, and I was just kind of holding the analog stick down. But still, that's something you should never, ever, ever have to do. That is ridiculous. And people accept it because, well, it's just how it is. No, that is bullshit. People should never have to go through that. That's stupid. And I mention that because now imagine if you wanted a shiny one. And let me talk about shinies for a second. Well, let's say you want a different colored Fennekin. Now you might, like, imagine going up to a guy that hands out these things. And you say, oh, I like the look of this little Fennekin. Do you have a red one instead of a yellow one? And he's like, a red one, he says. No, there's only two colors. There's yellow and purple. And you say, oh, well, I like the color purple. Actually, color purple is one of my favorite colors in real life. And so you say, okay, I would like a purple one then. And he laughs again. Oh, a purple one. Give me a purple one, he says. What a fucking fool you are. Like, what? What the fuck's going on? And he's like, no, purples are shinies. They sparkle for some reason. And you are not allowed to have one that easily. If you want one, you must breed Fennekins endlessly for months, perhaps years, before you actually get one. It's like, what the fuck is so fucking special about a purple Fennekin? Like, well, they're just super rare. Like, what is so intrinsically better about a purple one than a yellow one? They're just two fucking colors. That's it. And the only reason why people, like, the whole concept behind a shiny is that it looks slightly different. You know the breeding thing I was talking about? It's that, except it's shit, and you don't get any say in it. Like, the way that the purple Fennekins are actually colored is actually kind of crappy. Like, the way that they're composited and the way that their colors match, it doesn't flow particularly well. Like, I would definitely redesign it, but it's not even that good. But the fact that it's purple somehow, it's so special, such a little special princess. So if you actually want one that isn't exactly the same one that everyone else has, then you need to bust your balls to be able to get it. And it's not even worth it, because you can't change the IVs of a shiny, at least not yet. In Sun and Moon they may fix that. And, in Sun and Moon now, if you actually can do that, and raise all their IVs to maximum, then there's no reason for you not to have a shiny. Because the shiny is the rare one, it's the special, it's so amazing though. What's so much special about it? Nothing, it's the only one that it doesn't look generic, that's it. And it has little sparkles on it. Like, if you took off the sparkles, it would just... And, like, if you took off the sparkle effect and just showed two pictures of the damn thing, like, side by side, and just looked at them, then, you would get like 50-50 maybe on, at best, that, oh yeah, I would, either one of them is fine. What's so special about it? It doesn't matter. And I imagine actually in the case of the purple one, if you actually did not have the context that the purple was actually the rare one, and you just gave people the option, most people would pick the yellow one because the purple one doesn't even look that good. And that's the case with a lot of the shinies. The shiny actually looks like garbage, but just because it's shiny and because it's rare, people want it. And that's it. That's how Pokemon designs their games. It's all based on just whether something is hard to obtain and whether it requires wasting your time. It's an MMO without the online component, really. I mean, you can play online, but you know what I mean. So it's just garbage. The whole idea of the shinies being this amazing thing is just artificial, stupid bullshit. Completely worthless. These are the problems I have with the Pokemon games. Is that the things that you can do, and to me, in a video game, one of the core features is your ability to set your own goals. Like, that is very important in any video game. It doesn't matter if it's Dark Souls, it doesn't matter if it's fucking XCOM, it doesn't matter if it's Pokemon. You need to be able to look at some element of the game and go, I would like to accomplish this. And then you set out on a personal goal to be able to achieve that. Like, Minecraft is a good example of that. What can you do in Minecraft? Not a goddamn thing. There's nothing in Minecraft, like, there's no impetus to do anything. But people set their own personal goals of, I want to build a generic castle or whatever. Or I played Minecraft with people briefly. We liked making, monster farm machines that would just crush monsters, just for the hell of it. Even whenever we're playing creative, we like doing that. Because we're able to set our own personal goals. And in Pokemon, if you set a personal goal, odds are you will not reach it. Like, unless it's something like very generic, like you have the personal goal of, catching the 251 or 2 or whatever original Pokemon. That's a fairly simple goal. It's kind of time-consuming to reach, but you can do it. But if you want something like, I want a full team of max IV shinies of my 5 favorite ones or something, good fucking luck. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Fuck you. That's my problem with Pokemon. Fuck Pokemon for that reason. Okay, anyways. Didn't talk really at all about the way I was designing this, but you can see what I meant. The final result ended up looking a little bit too much like her because we're so used to seeing her legs. If that was not true, then this would look radically different. If I could do it over again, it would not change too much, but it would change a little bit. I would definitely not make it quadruped or anything like that. But one of my core rules is trying to make it not look like one of them is cosplaying the other one. In this case, I think it does look a little bit too much like that. But I think that was mainly because I was trying to stay away from it looking too much like a Broxon or anything like that. Because it could have very easily, like, if you imagine getting rid of that skirt, it very easily would have looked very, very similar to that. But it doesn't look too bad. I struggle a lot with the colors because the intermediate of green and orange is going to be sort of a yellowish, washed-out color, which the Arcanine also sort of has. So I ended up kind of falling to that. The green looked pretty bad, I felt. And you can't just change the color. Like, some people, I did this in stream, and some people were just like, why don't you make it blue or something? And I was wanting to pull out my hair. It's like, you can't fucking do that. Neither one of them is that. You can't just make up shit. That's the whole point of doing it. Anyways. Alright, so this is the result, Arcanoir, I guess I'll call her. And the next one has to be, what have I not done yet? The next one is going to have to be Gengar and Gardevoir. So we're going to end up with, I know now it's going to be like the same thing, it's going to be another Gardevoir, except it's going to have like a sinister smile or something, and it's probably going to be a little bit dumpier than this one is. I'll probably be more aggressive with it, now that I was not overly aggressive with this one. This will probably be the prettiest out of all of them, if I had to guess. So the final result, you can kind of imagine what it's going to end up looking like as a result, but you guys get the idea. Look forward to that in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed me bitching about Pokemon endlessly for this episode. I'm sure that all of you Pokemon fans, all you millennials, and all you people that are... I guess I'm from the first generation, but I was kind of in high school whenever it came out, so it didn't really affect me that much. But, you guys, I'm sure there's lots of people in the comments that are going to be like, yeah, we know. We had to deal with this too. So you probably know it better than I do. But I'm much more willing to bitch about it because I'm not married to the fucking series. And in fact, I don't really have much of a high opinion of the series in the first place. Because the whole thing is just made to give people shit to do for really no reason. Like, it's gotten to the point where you can't even meet your own objectives anymore. It's stupid. And I really wish that they would fix that. I really like to remake... I would like to see, like, a Pokemon game remade, except you just take the best ones, the most popular ones, and expand them out to where, you know, you have that breeding system I talked about, and you can work up all their stats to wherever you want them to be, and you did fix the combat so that it wasn't shit. And so that it actually was real combat where you have it back and forth. And it wasn't just, BAM! You're dead! BAM! You're dead too! Terrible game series, if you think about it. Pokemon just a terrible game series. But it's popular, so whatever. Alright, next one coming up, of course, once again, Gengar and Gardevoir. Please enjoy that. Happy masturbating, whatever you're going to be doing. Then there will be a fourth and final video in which I slam all of them together to make something that will probably end up looking like a cosplaying Gardevoir again. Just because that's the sexy one, right? Nah, it won't be that bad. But look forward to that, guys. So long. Goodbye. Go away. Go away.